Being at 6:15, I'd like to call the February 5th Capital Project and Equipment Committee meeting to order. Is there any changes to the agenda, Judy?
There is none.
I'm looking for a motion.
So, second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Barrington to approve the agenda. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, Judy, we're looking to go through the approval for the 2025 capital equipment project purchases.
Okay, so I just want to highlight a few things and then I'm going to turn it over to Chad and he'll finish us up here. So you want to make that a little bigger for me, please? All right, so the number over on the right is the one I want to highlight first. So the blue area is when we met back on December 10th. I know it sounds like a weird date, but we had pushed off finance to the next Tuesday, so it was December 10th. And so all the blue highlighted ones are already approved and they were done at that meeting. So if we move over to the dollars, yep. So we had originally within our 2025 budget set aside $500,000 for our capital projects. When we met on December 10th, or when you folks met, the Capital Projects Committee met to approve $276,309 at that meeting. So just in our last meeting at Finance, there was approval to move money out of the general fund over to the capital fund in the amount of $325,000. So that puts this capital fund at $548,691, still available to spend within this capital projects list. So that's a nice dollar amount when you look at the actual list itself to get a lot of the things within this capital list paid for, completed, or moving forward. So a couple things that had changed from the last meeting I want to highlight. Is the plow truck. Robert had originally asked for $150,000 this year and then $150,000 next year. When we looked at it, we decided that we more likely than not, when we do our bonding, we will look at that large bucket truck and we will put that in the bonding. So taking that out allowed us to add the whole entire plow truck into this current year. So that's at $300,000. The other change is if you go down to the street projects and sidewalk patching program, those normally would be at $25,000. Things are just not happening for $25,000 anymore. And Robert's been moving money forward and trying to get a project, this moving forward. So he'd do $25,000 one year and skip a year, and then he's trying to add it all together and then trying to get projects done. So we thought this year it would be a good idea if we doubled this dollar amount. It has been at $25,000. I can't even remember how long. So those have been updated to $50,000. And those are the only things that I need to highlight within the schedule that has changed since December 10th. So if there's any questions, we can take those. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Chad.
All right, so in the packet you were provided, you can kind of see some items are highlighted. I don't even know what color that is, brown.
Orange.
Oh, it's orange, okay.
That's not
So
orange.
the orange colors
That is not orange.
are the items that we are going to target. I'm going to actually bring up an Excel spreadsheet instead. And I've highlighted the orange items in yellow as well to make it very crystal clear. So internally, we talked about the items that we would like to propose for this round of the capital projects approval process. And I'm going to go through everything in yellow or the orange highlighted numbers that we are recommending at this point in time. I've already put those numbers in here just for a starting point, proposed today's date. And if you feel that you would agree and approve all the items that we're going to recommend in yellow, that total means we would have a remaining $66,585 left. I'll just go to the bottom really quick. Again, Judy said we approved about $276,000. Tonight, all the items that we're recommending would be about $482,106, and that gives us a total spent of $758,415, with the remaining $66,585. So what I'm gonna do now is just quickly go through all those items in yellow. Let me go through all the items and then we'll backtrack. You guys, we're gonna recommend that you still approve each item separately for the most part, like we normally do. But I'm just gonna fly through that really quick. We have department heads here. If you need to revisit something, I know we've talked about this at committee level. We've talked about this in the last committee meeting. But if you have questions, after I'm done kind of going through them all in general, we have department heads here that can follow up on that. So again, Judy talked about the plow truck. Need to replace a 2014 model, but we were able to, in this proposal, increase that to get it in 1 year. That would allow Robert to actually order it this year. It might not come till next year, depending on lead times. I don't know what Robert is hearing for that, but that would give us an opportunity to order that now and get on the list for whenever the lead time is. Copier replacement at the pool. That's just a regular item that every once in a while we have to replace, a technology type thing. So that would be a $2,400 expenditure there. Judy talked about the street projects and the sidewalk patching program. Again, these are just patching projects. These are just intended for us to go around and do major patching programs, not full reconstructions like Oshkosh Street, like what we're doing. And also the patching program for the sidewalk. We go around and we have the city set up in zones. We do inspections in those zones, and we do patching of hazardous sidewalks over the years. So that's what the $250,000 expenditure recommendations are there. PD retaining wall, that would be in the back of the police department on the south side where it comes out of the garage door bays and they have a driveway access in the back. The retaining wall is a brick retaining wall and it's falling apart. We need to get that replaced and fixed. That also might be an opportunity that we're gonna have a talk with the property owner, see if we can purchase a little bit of space back there to extend that, because it is pretty tight. And Robert wants to put a poured retaining wall back there to make it a little bit more permanent of a situation. So that's what the $35,000 expenditure there would be. The next four would be roofing assessments. We do this every couple of years. Number one, it allows for our consultant to go up on the roofs and look at them after projects to see if anything under warranty has to be done. This gives us a good opportunity that if something's failing under warranty, that we have our consultant identify that and then get the contractor back to fix it under warranty. It also gives us an opportunity to keep track of these roofs over the years, and they give us a good timeline down the road. Hey, this roof is deteriorating at this rate. I expect you guys need to be replacing this roof in 15 years. So that helps us in our budget process, so we know when to start budgeting for these roof replacements, not that we're caught blindsided. Upgrade camera, the Quags Fitness Center, we have a camera system there. It's kind of fallen, it's old, it needs to be upgraded. We've got a very good, robust camera system where we've been using technology, and our intention is to bring that old system that's standalone onto our network system that we have in our parks and in our facilities here. Fitness room and cardio equipment replacement. Every once in a while, we want to get something replaced in the fitness room at the pool on a regular basis. There was a time where we would let this go for years and years. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was a point in time where we had all three treadmills at the pool go down because we weren't replacing them over time. And we heard about it. When all three treadmills went down, it was not fun. So we definitely want to replace one or two pieces of equipment every year and just get a good rotation on the equipment replacement down at the pool. Bleacher upgrades, we've been doing this over the years. We've got the bleachers at Memorial Park upgraded. Ginger is setting her sights on Pfeiffer Park. This proposal would be to replace 2 at Pfeiffer Park. We have several more there that need to be replaced, but this brings those bleachers up to ADA compliance, because the new ADA standards is you need a stepped system in there, not like the old bleachers that don't have steps. You need to have steps in there so people with mobility challenges can step into a bleacher and move to the side, not crawl over seats. It also needs a handrail, and then it's got the fencing in the back. For anything over 3 tiers, you need to have fencing in the back so somebody doesn't fall backwards and hurt themselves falling back over bleachers. So that would be replacing 2 more bleachers. These are nice too, because I'm assuming Ginger can confirm, these also allow us, we have a wheel system that we can plug into and we pull them around for special events. Works out really well, bringing them downtown for the Veterans Memorial Program at Taft Park. Remote tablets, covers, keyboards, new time system, attendance system. The item before that was approved for us to go into a new timekeeping program instead of trying to do everything with pen and paper. The remote tablets would allow us to have tablets primarily down at our street garage and some other places, remote areas where they don't have regular computers like Judy and I work with all day. This gives the staff, like our street operators, the opportunity to have tablets. That's the way they're going to use for recording their time and recording what they're doing. So we need to get some technology down there for that type of scenario. And the last thing we got is the rewrap digital sign at the museum. This is, if you can envision the digital sign, which is similar to the one here, but over at the New London Public Museum. Once the library moves over, the library is no longer at that facility. So instead of saying library museum, she's going to update that with this cost to just say New London Public Museum. So that'll probably be something more than likely at the end of this year that we will be looking at once the library project comes to a close and they move over. With that said, those are the items that we are recommending as a staff to move forward with at this point in time. We can open it up if anybody's got specific questions for a specific item. Otherwise, we would recommend that we would kind of go through an approval process for every single one like we normally do.
Make any questions?
Time in the future to add any to this list?
Pardon?
Will there be time to add any more projects to the list?
That's why it's nice to keep a little bit of a balance at 66,000 in there in case something comes up. I mean, we've had the situation where all of a sudden our snow blower down at the municipal garage went bad and we had to, figure something out mid-season. So that's why we like to keep that buffer in there. But yes, I mean, and with that said, if there's an item on this list that we haven't highlighted that one of you feel like, I want to see that done, you have the opportunity to talk about that and recommend it at this point in time. Some of these projects, we're looking at doing shared projects. We're looking at grants. Ginger's looking at opportunities. Like the archery range, we're not quite there yet. But if there's something on here that you see that you really want to move forward with, now's the time to consider.
I was looking at the bathrooms at the Memorial Park, but you said they're looking at grants for that?
Right, so our portion will come out of the wastewater treatment plant. We will.
That
work
will be
with them. Yeah.
funded.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, we did earmark that as a project. We're just funding it differently than this list.
All right. That was one that I would have thought was there for.
Right.
Yep. And Ginger, I don't know if you have anything to add for that, or did we hit that one?
Just that we're currently working on it already. So, yep, it's in the process.
Streets and sidewalk patching, is that enough money in there? Do you get done what you need to get done?
I would say for this year, absolutely. I have, I believe around, would that be around 12,000 carried over in the street projects from last year. We ended up doing that, almost 2 full blocks of repair on Roland, that intersection that needed it badly on Wolf River and Lawrence. So with having that 12 left over, adding it to this 50, it again makes us able to knock out a big chunk. Eventually, I wanna keep progressing with that project and hopefully have the street crew more involved now that we're starting to obtain some good equipment that we can do some of the prep work on this patching program and extend this dollar amount further on the asphalt side of it. The concrete sidewalk patching program, now that we're involved with that sawing program, they got in kind of late last year. Once everything was approved, did some sawing in a section. They're already lined up to do another whole section of inspections on that in that area, working towards the south. I have currently there is 50, a little over 50,000 left in there. Plus with this 50, I'd be looking at doing quite a bit of sawing and repairing because we didn't get to the actual remove and replace or remove and replace repair portion of that program last year because we ran out of season. So that will be combined with what we go after this year. Hopefully take out a big chunk of that area that we're trying to move towards the south, and then we'll slowly move towards the west.
So with that being said, you feel that's a good amount of money to get done what you need to this year? Or
Correct.
to add anything to that for future stuff of rollover, you don't think is necessary at this point in time?
Not at this point in time.
Thank you.
Another area I'd like to look at is the windows for the museum, the storm windows and stuff. I think that's relatively important if they're gonna be, you know, the stuff that they have in there for preservation of the museum artifacts and stuff. I think that's rather important.
And if you recall the items in blue, you guys did approve that on that December 10th date already. So that one is already approved and in the works.
Okay.
Christine has been working on getting bid specs going for that. So that's
Let's go then.
yep,
Okay.
good to go. She's working on it.
Good.
We're gonna need department heads to come up with some more on the list, because this list got really small. 4 years ago, that list was pages. So we're knocking out a lot of stuff. But now we're running out of stuff.
Well,
Okay.
if you look at next year,
I don't have that.
yeah.
That's not a tab here, but yeah, there's
Is there a bigger list?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Good.
there's
Good.
doesn't fall off.
That's part of why. So when I look at this, I don't look at it as just this year. I look at next year, next couple years. So part of why the recommendation was to go ahead and look at Robert's piece of equipment and get that knocked out is because next year Park and Rec really beefs up. A lot of, both on the equipment and the project side. They're plus I think, you know, if you look at the list too, what you're starting to see is that things are starting to move along. I mean, I feel like you guys are being, you know, really starting to move a lot of projects forward. Like we're able to fund more and we're seeing a lot more things being done. So then that alleviates a little bit of pressure from here. So when I look at it, I go, ugh, I don't know what to do. This year was kind of a nice year. So then we were actually able to take a look at it and say, okay, I can see next year her equipment's really going to skyrocket and her projects have skyrocketed for next year. So it is kind of nice to take a look at it though and see that things are getting done and that we're able to move these projects forward. So
Yeah, a lot of that public works equipment, those plow trucks, graders,
expensive.
those are all scheduled out for 10 years. So
Yeah.
we've got them all plugged in for, you know, what the ideal timeline is. We want to look at that. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's more coming.
we have two that are kind of close together, so we're trying to get this 2014 replaced by 2026, which has just happened. But we also have a 2015 that we'll be looking at for 2027. I mean, we might be able to stretch that out another year, but it's hard when the program was first going and we have a couple of these high priced items close together to try to gap it a little bit, so we're not hammered with that kind of expense in public works that close together. But then the one that was replaced in 2020, so then you're looking at 2032, and then plow truck that was finally received in 24, then you're looking at 2036 for replacement. So there starts to get some gap, and then you can get other equipment in other divisions.
Any further questions? If not, I'd like to make a motion for a plow truck to replace the 2014 for $300,000. Motion made and was seconded to replace the plow truck for $300,000. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That is approved. Next, I'd like to make a motion for the copier replacement at the pool for $2,400.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Besaw to replace the copier replacement at the pool for $2,400. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is also approved. Next, I'd like to do two things at once. The street projects for $50,000. I'd like to make a motion for the street projects for $50,000 and the sidewalk patching program for $50,000 for a total of $100,000.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Barrington for the street projects for $50,000 and the sidewalk patching program for $50,000 for a total of $100,000. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is also approved. Next, I'd like to make a motion for the PD retaining wall for $35,000.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Herder, or Mayor Herder, for a PD retaining wall for $35,000. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is also carried. Next, I'm gonna do four together. It would be, I'll make a motion for the City Hall roof assessment for 2021 of 3 years for $1,468. Library Museum roof assessment, 2021 for 3 years, $1,240. Senior Center roof assessment, 2016 for 3 years at $587. And the Police Department roof assessment, 2016 of 3 years for $2,283 for a total of $5,578.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Dorsey for the City Hall roof assessment replacement or assessment, the Library Museum roof assessment, Senior Center roof assessment, and the Police Department roof assessment for a total of $5,578. Any further discussion?
I just want to clarify the library museum roof assessment is for the 406 South Pearl building, correct? Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thanks on that, Belinda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is also carried. Next, I'd like to make a motion for camera updates at Aquatic and Fitness Center for $3,015.
Second.
Motion made by second by Mr. Mayor Herder for the camera upgrades at Aquatic and Fitness Center for $3,015. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is also carried. Next, I'd like to make a motion for the fitness room cardio equipment replacement of $8,100.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Besaw for the fitness room cardio equipment replacement of $8,100. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is also approved. Next, I'd like to make a motion for bleacher upgrades at Pfeiffer 2. This is a cost to replace 1. 5 need to be replaced for $20,000.
So that was a typo, so it'll be 2 of them.
That's what I thought.
That'll be 2.
So this is the cost of 2 of them to be replaced, and we need 5 to be replaced for $20,000.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Barrington for the bleacher upgrades for Pfeiffer Park for 2 bleachers. 5 will need to be replaced of $20,000. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is also carried. Next, I'd like to make a motion for remote tablets, covers, keyboards for new time and attendance system for $4,813.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded by Mayor Herder for the remote tablets, covers, keyboards for new time and attendance system of $4,813. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is also carried. Lastly, I'd like to make a motion to rewrap the digital sign That would be at the museum for $3,200. Motion made, seconded by Mr. Dorsey to rewrap the digital sign at the museum for $3,200. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That is also carried. Did we have anything else anybody wanted to bring up? If not, we'll schedule next meeting if necessary.
At this time, there is no meeting scheduled, but we will if the need arises.
Okay, thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.
With that, I'm just looking for motion for adjournment. Made by Mr. Barrington, second Mr. Dorsey for adjournment. All in favor signify by